Get ready for cargo shots from the Strat Times, presented by HACTL. Here's a weekly roundup of the latest air freight and logistics news.
Atlas Air has strengthened its global reach with new dedicated freighter agreements with Etihad Cargo and DSV. South Korea's flag carrier Korean Air has signed a mega deal with Boeing, and Airbus has reached a new milestone in its A350 freighter program. Stay with us as we bring you this week's top stories from the world of air cargo. I am Nikita Sebastian and you are watching Cargo Shots presented by HACTL. Atlas Air has strengthened its presence in the global freighter market with two major long-term agreements. The carrier has partnered with Etihad Cargo to provide dedicated capacity through a newly delivered Boeing 777 freighter, initially serving routes between Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi and Madrid. The deal builds on a relationship dating back to 2012 and supports rising demand for e-commerce, pharmaceuticals, perishables and automotive cargo across Asia, the Middle East and Europe. Separately, Atlas Air has signed a long-term agreement with DSV to operate a 777F exclusively for the forwarder. The aircraft will connect DSV's hub in Huntsville, Alabama with Luxembourg, reinforcing one of its key trade corridors while enhancing control over capacity, schedule and network reliability. Bridges Air Cargo has inducted its first Embraer ERJ-190 converted freighter, becoming the global launch operator of the E190F. The aircraft unveiled this week marks the start of a planned fleet expansion, with a second freighter due to join shortly. The move follows Embraer's passenger-to-freighter conversion program, developed in partnership with Lesser Regional One. Earlier this year, Embraer confirmed that Bridges would be the launch customer, with the first aircraft scheduled to enter service in the third quarter of 2025. The E190F offers 40% more cargo volume than large turboprops, triple their range and lower operating costs compared to a larger narrow bodies. With a maximum payload of 13,500 kilograms, the aircraft enhances efficiency and flexibility for regional cargo networks. Korean Air has announced plans to purchase 8 Boeing 777-8 freighters as part of its largest ever order, covering 103 new Boeing aircraft. The deal, once finalized, will be Boeing's biggest wide-body order from an Asian carrier. Alongside the freighters, the agreement includes 20 777-9s, 25 787-10s, and 50 737-10s, supporting the airline's fleet modernization and its ongoing integration with Asiana Airlines. Boeing said the order would sustain about 135,000 US jobs. The 777-8 freighter, set to enter service in 2028, will be the world's largest twin-engine cargo jet, offering higher payload capacity and 30% greater fuel efficiency than previous models. If finalized, the deal will raise Boeing's 777-8 freighter backlog to 67 aircraft, surpassing the 65 orders Airbus had secured for its A350 freighter as of July. The Airbus A350 freighter program has reached a major milestone with the arrival of the prototype's nose and forward fuselage sections at the final assembly line in Toulouse. The central fuselage sections were delivered on August 19, followed by the forward fuselage sections on August 21, transported from Saint-Nazaire Montois on Beluga XL flights. Airbus confirmed that additional fuselage parts and components will arrive in the coming weeks as preparations for the freighter's assembly continue. The company has also completed the first horizontal stabilizer in Spain. Airbus is building 2 test aircraft scheduled for flight testing in 2026 and 2027. With 65 orders secured, the A350F will enter service in late 2027, with CMA CGM as the launch customer. Air One International Holdings has taken delivery of its first Boeing 777 freighter at Boeing's Everett facility in Washington. The aircraft is the first of 2 777Fs purchased by subsidiary Aerotrans Cargo, with the second due in the fourth quarter of 2025. The newly delivered freighter will enter service on an operating lease with UK-based One Air, carrying the airline's blue, yellow and white livery. With a payload capacity of 107 tons, the 777F complements the group's fleet of 11 Boeing 747-400 freighters. The addition marks the beginning of Air One's long-term fleet acquisition strategy, aimed at expanding its role as a global cargo provider. The group operates through airlines including Aerotrans Cargo, Rom Cargo Airlines and One Air. Cathay Cargo posted strong results in July 2025, with cargo tonnage rising 11% year-on-year to around 140,000 tons. The airline's available freight ton kilometers climbed 11.2% to 1.29 billion, while revenue freight ton kilometers grew 11.1% to 753 million. From January to July, Cathay carried a total of around 940,000 tons, up 11.2% compared with the same period last year. Demand was driven largely by machinery and seasonal perishables such as cherries from the United States, with flows from Southeast Asia into Hong Kong particularly strong. Capacity also grew 6% month-on-month in July. Operationally, freighter flight sectors slipped 1.3% to 1,286, while the cargo load factor eased slightly by 0.1 percentage point to 58.2%. Thank you for joining us on this week's Cargo Shots. Stay updated by hitting the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and visiting www.stattimes.com for daily news updates. We will be back next week with a new episode of Cargo Shots featuring more interesting stories.
You've been watching Cargo Shots from the Strait Times, presented by HACTL. See you next week with more updates from the air cargo and logistics industry.